What's going on, everybody? Goofy Rexy here. Hope everybody is doing well. So a lot of people have already made some videos about the Moondragon event and gone through some spreadsheets here, but in this video, man, I really kind of just wanted to try to shed some sort of a positive light on the event. Overall, there's a lot of things to complain about, right? There is the trait, the quirky trait, which I know doesn't sit well with a lot of people. Of course, some may say, hey, I don't get it, it's not that offensive, but I will say this: if it's offensive to people, then you have to take heart in that, right? And understand that people are offended and they have a right to be offended if they find that term to be offensive. And of course, there's the characters that you have to use that do have the quirky trait, which ultimately are just underwhelming, right? There's Jubilee, that's good. There's a few other characters that are definitely noteworthy, but yeah, you have some Infinity Watch characters that are here, but slightly underwhelming, the assortment of characters that you have to use for this particular event. But I do want to say, looking at this event, making a comparison here to some previous events that we've done before, the most comparable one that I found was actually the AV event. This was the anti-venom event, where you had to have mass capers, and mass capers were better. There were a better assortment of characters that you had to use for this similar event that was here before, but it was a little bit more strenuous. You had to do a lot more work. Mainly one of them was actually blitzing. You actually had to blitz quite a bit. The numbers are right here. 26 wins per round is what you had to get for the AV event to kind of max that out, and you had to do it with 8 rotations per day, and those 8 rotations were manual blitzing. If you remember, we did not have blitz sim around that time, man, so we had to do some manual blitzing, y'all. That was cray. Can you imagine doing 8 rotations of blitzing with manually? So yeah, this event was probably more comparable to it. Yes, it was we had some better featured characters that you could use, better mass caper characters, but it was still overall an event that was a little bit more strenuous on the Alliance, and you had to do more raid attempts per day and things like that. So you had to use at least 2.35 mass capers per node, and obviously you can't do 2.35, so sometimes you have to use 3 or 4 characters, burn some nodes, loot some nodes in order for you to be able to get some points. So trying to shed some positivity here. It's not as bad as the Moondragon event right now. It's not as bad as the previous AV event that was back sometime, September of last year. But let's talk about the Moondragon event here and kind of where I'm going to be going with it, and probably what I would recommend. So I know there's actually a few different ways to do this, right? So there's a way where you can still continue to do your Doom raids and then drop down to your Greek raids, where you can use all the characters that have the quirky trait there. And then, as a matter of fact, I'm going to stop saying the specific trait name, because like I said, I don't want to be part of a group that's offending anyone, myself. But for those who do have the trait, if you wanted to do 5 characters, we use 5 characters in those Greek raids, then you could probably finish off or get more points for those milestones. The problem for me is dropping all the way down to Greek 2 just so you can use all 5 characters. You're losing some resources. If you're like me, you still value getting some origin gear or stat catalysts, right? Those stat catalysts, those orange stat catalysts, those focus catalysts, those health catalysts, those are still valuable resources, man. So dropping down to do those raids, you're kind of losing a bit of it. Obviously, if that's the best way that you feel that your alliance can, get through these milestones and be efficient as possible, then you go ahead and you do that. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be coordination with your alliance, and then of course what you can do individually as well. So definitely don't go against your alliance, but I'm just saying that I personally wouldn't want to drop down, just mainly because I'm going to be losing some resources and I find to be valuable. You could drop down to U7. Yes, you would be losing some season points, and yes, you may be losing some silver surfer shards, but ultimately you're still going to be able to get some of those valuable resources that you do need. So what I'm thinking here for these attempts, so typically you're probably able to do about 9 attempts per day, but some raid nodes, some raids are capped, right? You can't actually get a full 9 or a full 10 nodes in, or so therefore did these calculations with U7. This is actually calculations that were done by Neuromancer. A couple others worked on the spreadsheet as well, but Neuro has done a couple other spreadsheets for me, for the community, not for me, but for the community, to get through and to maneuver a lot of these events. And recommendation here is to do for 8 attempts of U7, 8 attempts of Greek raids, you only have to use the characters that have the trait. You only have to use 1.85 of these characters. So the idea here is you're kind of using, you're probably gonna have to burn some nodes, not all of them, but probably burn some nodes just so that you can get the points. Obviously, you're gonna have to sort of watch the milestones and watch what your alliance is getting or watch what you're contributing to your alliance to make sure that this is working. But kind of the idea here is for these 8 attempts per U7, 8 attempts per Greek raids, that you only have to do 1.85 characters per attempt. You only have to average 1.85 characters per attempt in order to be able to complete and get the points that you need for the Marvelous Allies milestone. You could theoretically drop this down to 7 as well, and I think it doesn't change the numbers that much. It goes from 1.85 to 2, which, by the way, 1.85 kind of rounds up to 2 anyways, so you're probably going to be mostly fine there. For the rest of the milestones, this is sort of blitz heavy, but it's not as bad. So what I'm going to be able to do here is I have 33 blitz teams, but I have 26 blitz teams that I know can actually get a win, right? So I'm going to be throwing in 20. I'm going to be resetting down here to as low as I possibly can, and then I'm going to be going after winning 26 times in my blitz rotation and doing 6 rotations per day at a 90% win rate, right? 90% win rate. I can get 100% win rate, but I'm just giving myself just some leeway just in case I decide to, or something happens, right, where my Marauders get shanked or some other team doesn't win. Heroes for Hire craps the bed, right? They don't get a win. I'm just giving myself a 90% win rate here, blitzing 6 times per day, and that will be able to get the job done for me there. And then also for your arena, so this is also tying into your strength and numbers milestone. Only have to do 5 wins, getting your 5 wins per day. You don't have to win those matchups, but you're going to be able to get your 50 points per when you're doing those arena wins. So when you do the calculations on this, 26 rotations per day, 26 wins at 6 rotations per day, 90% win rate. If I'm using this method here, 7 attempts in U7, 8 attempts in those Greek raids, with 2 that have the trait per attempt in the Marvelous Allies milestone, then I will be able to get a 4-star character if I did not purchase Moondragon. So these are kind of the calculations here. I'm actually going to be sharing the spreadsheet down below so that you guys can take a look at it and kind of run through it here. I know that, like I said, I wanted to shed some more positivity on this, man. I know that there's a lot of things that are frustrating, the trait itself, the characters that you have to use for this trait that are not actually good at all. But if you can get through some of these nodes, yes, you're gonna probably have to burn some of those nodes, some of those characters on those nodes in order to be able to get the milestones, the Marvelous Allies milestones. But it's not as bad as the AV event, man. Look at that, 10, you have to use 2.35. Not as bad as some of these previous milestones that we've done before. So I'm gonna leave the spreadsheet down below, guys, for you to take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions about anything. I'm also gonna have it up in my Discord as well, in the goofy infographic section. Once again, shout out to Neuro, who did a phenomenal job with the spreadsheet, as he always does for the community. So appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe.